Let's speak to Jonathan Isaby, who's editor of Brexit Central. Jonathan, how do you feel about this report this morning?
Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
And I think I joined in the position taken by a number of people, from people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Duncan Smith from the Tories, but also John Mann, the Labour MP, who has said that this report is, I think the phrase John Mann used was buffoonery, and frankly not very helpful, not very constructive. And as far as we can tell, based on a few days in this country, speaking to a very small selected bunch of people, and probably through a bit of a reading of the Guardian newspaper.
Well, I don't know if you heard what Wayman Bennett had to say a little earlier, that the discussion around immigration, particularly around the Brexit vote, wasn't based wholly on facts that were true, and therefore shouldn't have been aired in the first place. Is that fair?
And I think the debate about immigration and Brexit is a fascinating one because, of course, what our membership of the European Union has done has completely discriminated in favour of immigrants from the European Union and against immigrants from outside the European Union.
Sure, and that's a fair argument to make, but we didn't hear a great deal of that during the Brexit debate, did we? We saw lots of people with posters about flooding and talking about immigrants in that kind of language, which presumably you wouldn't say is helpful.
Well, I think that you're referring to the one poster that UKIP put forward, which is not something that I would have done. I think it was not at all helpful to the campaign, because actually, as far as I'm concerned, Brexit is about opening the UK up to the rest of the world, being a global player, not looking insular and inwardly just to this European Union, which is, as a share of world trade and all the rest of it, reducing over time, but saying, we're a global player. We're looking for the wider world. We want to ensure that the brightest and the best around the world come to the UK and help the UK thrive as a country, rather than merely focusing on this artificial continental bloc.
Well, there is certainly an example when it comes to, or the argument when it comes to freedom of movement, that being part of the EU does mean that people from other parts of the world are discriminated against when it comes to freedom of movement into this country. Jonathan, thank you. We'll leave it there. Jonathan Isaby, editor of Brexit Central.